Before we begin our video, a short note. We'll be glad if you like, comment, and share our content. We are the largest left-wing civic association in Slovakia, and we want to keep growing. New videos are published Fridays. If you like what we do, you can support us financially and become our members. More information is available on our website, and most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. If this were happening to men, the world would be on fire. Approximately 4 billion women live on Earth. That is not a minority. That is not a special interest group. That is half of humanity. And yet, for hundreds of millions of women, someone else still decides what happens to their bodies, their education, their work, their income, or their future. When we talk about women's rights in Europe, we often forget that we live in one of the safest and most developed parts of the planet. For most women in the world, reality looks very different. According to the United Nations, approximately 142 million women are missing from the world today. Not because they disappeared, but because they were never born or did not survive childhood. For decades, in many countries, boys were considered more valuable than girls. The result has been millions of sex-selective abortions, neglected girls, and tragedies that took place behind closed family doors. Imagine if the entire population of Germany disappeared, along with half the population of France. That is roughly the number of women we are talking about. Approximately 640 million women alive today were married while still children. They should have been thinking about school. They should have been making friends. They should have been discovering the world. Instead, they became wives, often before they had even reached adulthood themselves, and many of them lost the opportunity to complete their education or make decisions about their own lives. More than 230 million women and girls are living today with the consequences of female genital mutilation. This involves damaging or removing parts of the female genital organs, not for medical reasons, not for health, but because of traditions, control over female sexuality, and the belief that women should be obedient. This practice exists among Muslims, Christians, and followers of traditional African religions. It is not the problem of one faith. It is the problem of patriarchal power. But even in the European Union, not everything is okay. Official data says that approximately 1 in 3 women in the European Union has experienced physical or sexual violence at some point in her life. That means tens of millions of European women. Interestingly, the highest numbers are not found in the poorest countries of Europe. The highest rates are reported in Finland, Denmark, and Sweden. Researchers point out that part of this difference may be explained by the fact that women in these countries are more likely to recognize violence, speak openly about it, and feel less afraid to report it. Lower numbers, therefore, do not automatically mean a safer life for women. They may also reflect more silence, more stigma, and less reporting. So this map does not only show violence against women, it also shows where women are able and willing to talk about it. Despite the high availability of healthcare services in the European Union, an estimated 5 to 10 million women still have an unmet need for contraception. Globally, it's staggering 260 million women who can't fully control when they will have children. The most common reasons in the EU are cost, limited access to services, or a lack of reliable information. In some communities, religious and family pressures also play a role. For what is often considered the most developed region in the world, this is a troubling reality of millions of women. 708 million women are outside the labor market because they are caring for children, the sick, or elderly family members. Their work is essential. Without it, society would stop functioning. And yet, we pretend it is not work. It is not counted in GDP. It does not appear on a paycheck. And it remains deliberately invisible. Researchers say that this invisible work is worth 11 trillion every year. What does it say about today's world when it pretends that 9% of world's GDP doesn't matter at all? Remember, it is not help, it is not a hobby, it is work. When we talk about the position of women in the world, we often look at Africa or Asia. But Europe is not an exception. Even here, women still perform approximately 2 to 2.5 times more unpaid work than men. They care for children, for parents, for the household, for the everyday functioning of family life. It is work without which society would not function. And yet it does not appear on a paycheck. It is not counted in GDP. And we often take it for granted. Economic estimates suggest that if this work were included in the economy, it would be worth approximately 5 trillion euros per year. That is more than the entire economy of Germany. Work performed by millions of women every single day. Work that holds Europe together, and work for which most of them will never be paid. As an added reward, many of them will also receive lower pensions later in life because years spent caring for others are often valued less than years spent in paid employment. This video was not about history. This was not a story from the past. This is the brutal reality of 2026. Many people say, that's just the way the world is. Nothing can be done about it. But history tells a different story. On October 24th, 1975, approximately 90% of Icelandic women decided to stop all paid and unpaid work for one day. They did not go to work. They did not cook. They did not clean. They did not take care of children. And Iceland came to a standstill. Because when women stop, the world stops too. That protest helped launch the changes that turned Iceland into one of the most gender-equal countries on Earth. Last year, on the 50th anniversary of this historic event, we joined a commemorative protest in Vienna. And this year, we want to bring its message to Slovakia. That is why the New Left is working together with women and organizations from across the European Union to organize an annual protest for women's dignity, safety, freedom, and equality. Join us, not because women need saving, but because a fairer world will not build itself. It is built when people decide to change it. That is what Icelandic women did in 1975. And it is what we can do today. Because 51 years later, there are still far too many reasons to stand up and say, enough! Before we end our video, a short note. We'll be glad if you like, comment, and share our content. We are the largest left-wing civic association in Slovakia, and we want to keep growing. New videos are published Fridays. If you like what we do, you can support us financially and become our members. More information is available on our website. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.